Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing with some fun Brutus Monroe products and scrapbooking. Big surprise, a photo of Cinderella Castle in Walt Disney World. So I'm going to use some fun chroma glazes. I have purple, coral, lime, and silver. I also have the June stencil of the month and the other stencil that is released in June, and the Radiant Rainbow stamp set. Really excited. I'm going to stamp these rainbows, cut them out. I might use some other things. We'll figure it out. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I am taking the Groovy Grid stencil with my chroma glazes, and I am placing the chroma glaze through the stencil. Now, I have decided that I am going to make a grid layout. My original idea was to do different colors on each corner of my 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. So was going to have the silver on one and just continuing on with the colors. Now ultimately I decided to go a different route, and not because I thought this looked bad at all. I actually think that that's really cool, but I thought, how cool would it be if I cut apart the stenciled areas of the Groovy Grid and then rebuilt them and kind of like quilted it together almost. And that turned out to be really, really cool, in my opinion at least. So within the Groovy Grid, there are a couple of lines that are straight. So not all of the lines have like that curvature to them. So what I did was went ahead and cut out each of the Groovy Grid areas, and that gave me 9 pieces. So these, you can see where they fall apart and get cut together. So I piled up everything into piles so that I could just grab one of each color and put it down on my black sheet of cardstock. So what I did was just make sure that as I was putting these down, what was going to happen was they were all going to match up, so that even though the colors are different and they're kind of like changing around, when you looked at it, it would look like the entire Groovy Grid was one huge stencil. So that was my plan, at least. And I think it turns out. And then the only thing I did was make sure that I did not have the same color next to each other. So I didn't want to have the greens next to each other. I didn't want to have the silvers next to each other. Now, if they're diagonally from each other, like those two green rectangles that I just did, where one is vertical and one is horizontal, I was totally okay with that. I just didn't want the colors directly next to each other. And this turns out, this ends up being a pretty good like randomized pattern. And then you can see sometimes I wasn't really paying attention to where the Groovy Grid kind of matched up, and I just had to move things around a little bit. So like I said, this just was a lot of fun to do. It's kind of like doing a puzzle, but you make the rules for the puzzle. It's just a lot of fun. And you can do this. So this is what I would call a repeating stencil, so that the left-hand side matches up with the right-hand side, the top matches up with the bottom, so you can just make the stencil as large as you possibly need it to be. Now, in the beginning, I told you guys I was gonna scrapbook a photograph of Cinderella Castle, and I decided that this kind of color scheme reminded me a little bit more of Toy Story than the castle. And there is a ride in Toy Story Land that is the Green Alien ride. I don't remember what it's called, but it totally felt that way to me. So I grabbed the other stencil, and its name is escaping me at the moment, guys. Hold on. Paint It Rainbow, the Paint It Rainbow stencil. So I did not rainbow it. I did use some silver glitter glaze, and I just placed it down over top of my white cardstock. Now I did tape the edges of that stencil because I did not want any of the white on either end of it to accidentally get some glitter glaze on it. So this was my way of protecting it. So I matted that on a very thin mat of black cardstock because I do have the very thin black lines in the background. And then I went ahead and also matted my photograph on black cardstock. And I just feel like the consistency across the layout kind of brings everything together. So I'm really taping this sucker down, and then I decide to go ahead and place it off to the right hand side a little bit. And I'm just going to pop up the entire photo mat with that glitter glazed stenciled area as well. It's going to give it a little bit of lift off of that background. So the background is definitely textured and it looks kind of 3D. So I've already got this texture and then like this extra implied texture because of the way the stencil was designed, but I need it to set apart my photograph somehow. So I have the alien photo, I chose just one, where he's going off to the side, and then I went ahead and placed him down. I also colored a couple of stamped images. This is also a Brutus Monroe stamp set. It is the Space Flight, I think so. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you again real soon for another video.